thing I think that we would all like is a way to spruce up and protect our garage floor, whether it's new or old. And we have a system here that just about anybody can use. Now, it's a two-part epoxy that comes in its own mixing bucket, parts A and B, colored flakes for some decoration and slip resistance. And there's also a cleaner, etcher, and degreaser, which is what you want to use first. Now, it is really important that you use this to prepare the surface, and it is acid, so you want to make sure that you use eye protection and gloves. Now, this gets mixed with water, and like I said, it's a mild acid, so we're going to be adding the water first, then the cleaner, and you want to make sure to mix it in a plastic watering can to eliminate any chemical reaction. Now, once it's mixed, you pour it out over the concrete, spread it out, and then work it across the surface with a stiff bristled broom. Now, it cleans and degreases, but it also etches the concrete, which means it opens up the surface to allow a really good bond with the epoxy.
Now, the trick here is to get this spread out evenly and let it sit about 60 seconds or so. You'll see it start bubbling on top of the concrete. That's really helping to clean everything off and getting the top etched a little bit.
After a good scrubbing, you rinse it off with water, and then once the floor dries off, it's ready for epoxy. Now, mixing our epoxy is a pretty simple process. It's a two-part system. First, part A goes into the bucket, then part B. Now, it comes with this stir stick, but if you have a drill with paddle attachment, that would also work. Now, some mixes like this, you have to wait a while for the stuff to activate, but with this, you can get going as soon as it's mixed.
So from here on out, it's basically a painting operation. So first we're going to cut in around the perimeter, around the front of the driveway, coming about 3 inches out, and then we'll roll everything else out.
Now we're just pouring the product out, and then we'll be spreading it out with a 1/4 inch nap roller. Dina's already cut in here. And we want to make sure not to roll it out too deep, because I want to be sure I can still reach back in order to sprinkle our flakes for the decorative chips. Now, with the flakes, it's not a bad idea to practice it first, maybe out on a piece of plastic or something like that, so you kind of know how they're going to fall out. And then you also want to kind of go light to begin with, because you can always add a little more later.
Now, each kit covers about 220 square feet, so you'll need more than one kit for your average 2- and 3-stall garage. And the nice thing about this is there's no setup time. Once you get everything mixed, you can go ahead and start painting. And with 2 hours to get everything down, it's very easy to keep a wet edge.
I remember when we first etched the concrete at the very beginning? Well, that's so that the epoxy can really get in there and bond with the concrete and help it resist flaking and peeling. And this is from a company that's worked with concrete for 75 years, so they know a little something about it.
Now, sometimes people will wonder, what's the difference between this and using regular paint? Well, basically it's adhesion and durability. Two-part epoxy like this actually chemically bonds with a concrete surface, so you don't have to worry about it chipping off. And in terms of durability, it will just last a lot longer, especially in a place like Minnesota where you have the harsh winters, you have a lot of salt water coming in on the top of this. It's just going to hang in there much better for you.
Now, this is going to give us a high-gloss showroom quality floor. We'll be able to walk on it in about a day, and if we wanted to, we could put cars in here in about 3 days. But we are going to do one more step once we finish up, and this has a chance to set up. Well, our garage floor has had a chance to cure overnight, and so we could leave this like this. It's really pretty. But we're going to do one more thing, and that's a clear high gloss finish. It's going to give it some depth and some extra durability, and we can get started on that right now. Now, this is another 2-part water-based epoxy, just like the color coat that we put down yesterday. This has a part A and a part B. Part A, you dump right into the bucket. Then you dump in part B. Now, it comes with the stir stick, so you could use that. Or, again, if you have a paddle attachment for a drill, that'll also work. Now, because this is a high gloss finish, if it were to get wet, it can get slippery. So we're going to add this anti-skid additive, which is going to help with that. Now, applying this is just like yesterday. We're going to be cutting in around the edges about 3 inches, and then we'll come back and fill in with the roller. Now, this goes on white and then dries clear, which is nice because then you can tell exactly where you've been. Now, what this is going to do for the floor coating is add yet another layer of protection against household chemicals, the elements, and hot tire pickup, while at the same time enhancing the overall look of the floor. Now you could use this on a bare concrete floor to give it a layer of extra protection, but you just want to make sure that you clean, etch, and degrease it just like we did here. That'll open up the surface and allow the epoxy to form a permanent bond with the concrete. So that's what we did to protect the floor in here and make it a little more attractive. Both steps are very easy to do, so it might be something you might want to try.
Hometime is brought to you by QUIKRETE. It's what America is made of.